Okay, so the second material type we're going to have a look at in here is the masked material. And if we open up this one, we're just looking at the masked input here. So a couple of notes. Firstly, I have changed the blend mode here down to masked, second on the list, and I've enabled two-sided. So two-sided is a flag that does what it says. It allows a material to be rendered on both sides. It's slightly cheaper to render a two-sided material than it is to have two sets of polygons, and it's also much easier in terms of building your materials and things. So so enabling two sides is going to give us the interior of our mesh sphere here as well. So masked, or if I change it back quickly, so opaque has these two pins here, but they're grayed out. They're not being used by an opaque shader. And what masked does is opens up the opacity mask input. And what this does is what's called a 1-bit alpha, or on-off alpha, sometimes called cutout or mask, or yeah. So effectively, each of our pixels can either be there or not there. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's use the green channel. That's got the right information in. And so the places where the texture here are black, and we'll have a look at the green channel, will be just invisible and cut through. And the places where it's white, it will be rendered. And we get this nice kind of cutout effect. Now this is still using the full PBR pipeline for everything else. So all the stuff we covered in the last video about base color, roughness, normal map, all of that stuff still applies. And it's a very cheap way of doing rendering for translucency, because we're only paying the cost of the solid pixels, and we're not paying for anything behind. Okay, really useful. We use it all the time. Notable though, you will never get any hard edges, or you'll never get anything but hard edges. You'll never get any soft grayscale edges. You'll never get any translucency, anything see-through. It's always a solid value on or off. If we do put in a texture that has a bit more grayscale to it, you can see here we're always going to get that kind of there or not there. And what controls this is what's called the opacity clip value. And if I select my material, or just click the background, down here on the left, if I just type in clip, opacity mask clip value, and the default for this is 0.33, and so anything that is lighter than 0.33 grey will become invisible. If I change that to 0.5, we'll be able to change the sort of threshold of where this is, 0.85. There we go. You can control that way. This is what I would call a black box, though. This is a fixed number that is kind of hard coded into the material, not something we can edit dynamically, which is something we might want to do. Well, if I just reset that back, we can always add a little bit of maths here. And so I'm just going to add a add node and a scalar parameter. Default shortcut for scalar parameter is S and click. And if I call this something like mask offset, we could then go in and dynamically add or subtract to this, and this would then be per instance editable, or possibly animatable by sequencer or gameplay or anything like that. So we can get some nice kind of transitions just simply changing this value. Cool. Getting a little ahead of ourselves. Going to be covering that more in later examples. But yeah, opacity masked, either on or off. Never any grayscale. Really useful for kind of outlining things. So outlining leaves, outlining I don't know, butterflies or posters, things like that, where you want a detail along the edge, but not full translucency. But not useful for things like glass or I don't know. Yeah, those kinds of like translucent surfaces.